Tell them that the tiger needs a little bit of love.
Hey guys, what's up and welcome to Fridays with Andrea. I'm glad you're back for another week of crazy topics. So, I wasn't going to discuss this topic, but I feel like I absolutely have to. I don't know if I should get a cup of coffee, if I should get wine, tea. I wanted to talk about the hit show, and you know what I'm talking about. This kind of Tiger King. I wasn't going to say anything out of fear that Carol would come for me or someone else, but you know what? I'm going to talk about it because I feel like I just have to. I have to. I could not stop watching this show. Train wreck, ghetto mess I think I've ever seen in my entire life. I was, for once, speechless. I didn't even know what to say. Takes a lot. This show literally shut me up, shut me down, laid me on the ground. Like I didn't even know what to do with myself. So if you haven't watched Tiger King, we're going to talk about it. If you have watched it, good. We can all comment together on it. So I'm just going to tell you what the base of the show is about if you've never seen it. It's about, it centers around these, I would say four, I'm just going to talk about the owners. And then we'll go into all the other mess of the show. But it's centered around four owners that own these, tiger zoos, tiger sanctuaries. How many times has any of us, I'm going to say myself because I 100%, have went on a road trip and drove and seen reptiles, $10.99, come hold a snake. Or it's some backwoods, I don't know, backwoods advertisement on a billboard just talking about some random sanctuary or random zoo off Highway 95 or something. Have I ever gone to any of them? No, but I've seen them. I'm like, I wonder what those shows, what's that about? So basically, that's what this is about. So they house these animals, and like I say, we're going to talk first about Joe. Now, Joe is like the star of the show. He's the highlight of everything. Joe has two husbands. One's missing some teeth. The other one was very young, and I'm not going to judge or talk. I'm going to do my best to try to stay positive on this because I'm not about talking about people. But he looks interesting, and he has two husbands. Joe has those two husbands. They help him at the zoo. He calls himself the Tiger King, and he 100% believes he's the Tiger King, to the point of him putting a video of himself on a throne surrounded by tigers in the tiger cage then. Okay. He also does YouTube channels and videos and all these crazy videos to promote his company, okay? Then we have Carol. Carol, I don't even. Also owns what she calls a tiger sanctuary, okay? It's a tiger sanctuary. She can't stand Joe at all. She has made it her mission in life to just try to do away with Joe in his business. She's followed him around every time Joe was coming into town like a circus with his tigers. She calls up the businesses and tries to tell people, keep him away. He's abusing the animals. He's threatening the animals. He keeps the animals in cages. You don't want to support him. You want to support me. I'm Carol, the lady of the tiger sanctuary. I take care and bring in abused animals, okay? That's what she said. So I wanted to be on her side. When I first saw it, I was like, maybe she's right. She's a tiger sanctuary lady with flower wreaths in her hair. She's such an angel trying to keep the animals from being abused. And so we get to take a tour of Carol's sanctuary, which happens to look a lot like Joe's sanctuary. So my question is, I kind of did a little, So if Joe has tigers in cages and he's somewhat considered abusive to the animals, and then you have tigers in cages, but you're a sanctuary, I'm not sure, I'm not understanding, Carol. Like, what are you doing that is so different than Joe? Because you guys seem to feed the animals the same type of food. He has cages, you have cages. He breeds tigers. You claim that you don't, but that's amazing that you have all these baby cubs. Where are all these baby cubs coming from, Carol? And then Joe goes to Carol's facility because at this point, Joe is starting to get upset. This has been going on for years, this feud between them two. Her trying to get at him trying to get at her. But somewhere in the middle, it starts to get to where I'm like, okay, this is hilarious. These two people fighting over their places that are literally identical. And it goes from that to he's getting out guns and shooting dummies that represent Carol. He's finding ways to kill her. Like, literally in his videos, he's threatening to kill her. You keep messing with me. You keep suing me. He literally had to owe that woman a lot of money. He had to pay her a lot of money when she was sued. He tried to, I guess, take her emblem and her brand. Joe lost to that because, yes, Carol ended up winning. It always seems like she was just when she says she was after Joe, that's not a lie. She was literally after everything that man had. And my take is she did it to basically keep her business going. So it's not really about the animals, is it, Carol? It doesn't seem like it's about the animals if you're sabotaging everything he has to basically just get him out of the way so your sanctuary can rise and be the angelic thing that you claim it to be. So he goes to her facility, and lo and behold, it doesn't look very good for you, Carol. I mean, it's not a sanctuary. If anything, it looks almost worse than Joe's place. You got a baby cub sticking his head in a little tiny cage. So the cub was already in a cage, but he's sticking his head through another small cage just to drink something, just to get a drink of water. I was like, that's not sanctuary-like. That doesn't look like it's the sanctuary for animals. It literally looks like you're just about as abusive as Joe is. So two wrongs don't make a right, in my opinion. It just didn't make any sense. Before I even get into the Joe and Carol saga, you got this one man that has 5 sister wives. Basically, he's got 5 wives and they all live in their own different houses. They're all about the same age. Who cares about that? I'm not judging that, but it's just the fact he has the same tiger sanctuary or zoo or whatever you want to call it, where they get to pet the cubs and pet the animals. As he has literally the same thing as Carol and Joe. Same thing. Only difference is he's got his sister wives that wrangle him and play with him, and they have on these sexy costumes. Like this show, I can't make any of this up. This is literally what is on the show. Okay, so he starts complaining. They ask him one question. They were like, so what do you think people are going to think of you having these wives or girlfriends or whatever you call them? What do you think people are going to think of you? And he literally got so offended. He's like, okay, so you're trying to make me out to be like I'm running some kind of cult or something. I'm like, but are we doing that? I'm like, Netflix didn't do anything to you. You did it to yourself. You guys are putting yourself on TV and displaying this. Netflix didn't even have to make up a story. They wouldn't even have to. There's no storyline. There's nothing. This is these people's lives. If you consider yourself running a semi-cult, then that's what it is. I don't know. I'm not going to judge anybody. You and your 5 sister wives wrangle tigers. So knew about the mess. It's like this whole little convention of tiger people that know about each other's businesses, but he just chose to stay in the background. He's like, I ain't got nothing to do with Joe and Carol. They're both a mess, but I have nothing to do with it. So now it's getting worse, okay? The final straw, I want to say, for Joe was when Carol won that last lawsuit, and he had to pay her like $1 million. At this point, because he's gotten rid of everything, he had nothing. At this point, it is like, okay, now I'm mad. You've messed with my money. You've messed with my pride. You've messed with my animals. And he's losing money, and Carol's taking everything, his houses, his parents' houses. And Joe is trying to go to everybody to get money, trying to figure out how he's going to pay off to Carol. He was just losing his mind, basically. Just losing it, getting worse and worse. Like I said, the videos that he started putting out even scared me. Just everything he could do to sabotage Carol and pointing guns at her. You come on my property, I'm gonna shoot you. He had these country music videos up, which I can't even.
'Cause I saw Tiger, now I understand. I saw Tiger, Tiger saw me.
Country music videos, I could not stop laughing. The worst and the most horrific story out of all this was Carol, basically the mystery behind her first husband's death. She supposedly meets this man on the side of the road at random. He takes her in. He happens to be a millionaire. What? He just took you in off the streets, and he's a millionaire man, and he falls in love with her and decides to marry her, okay? He ends up buying all these animals for Carol, and she saw it more as a, she, I guess at the time, really did intentionally want to save the animals. That's what she was trying to do. But her first husband was like, hey, we're making some money off these things. We should buy some more. So they came a little bit of a riff-raff between the two. And they don't really tell any more backstory other than them kind of falling out of love and getting upset because this now sanctuary is becoming a cash cow business. So I guess according to the rumor, they don't know what happened to Carol's husband, okay? We don't know if he faked his own death. According to her, he faked his own death and went off to Costa Rica to start a new life with another mistress or something he found in Costa Rica. But according to everybody else, Carol fed her husband to the tigers. Okay.
There's no use, there's nothing left but tiger trap. Girl, she sure loves you. Oh, here, kitty, kitty. Mama made this for you.
This is not Netflix made up. This is something, a story that happened way before this Netflix. This has been a rumor going on for years that this woman supposedly fed her animals to, or fed her husband to the tigers. Both of them had very good theories. Carol had a good theory, and there was a little bit of evidence to support her theory that he faked his own death. I was like, well, you know what? Maybe he did fake his own death. Maybe he did leave. But then the other side of me is just like, but she definitely could have fed his body to the tigers, because they never found the guy's body. They never found his body. They don't know what happened to him. It's like he literally just upped and vanished. But it's interesting that he had had a restraining order put out against her a few days or so, or weeks before he actually disappeared. So I don't know. I'm going to leave that up to you guys to decide, but either did Carol's husband fake his own death, or did Carol literally feed her husband to her tigers? For Joe loses everything. He burned down his shed. So there's a shed that had evidence basically of everything. He videotaped everything. His country music things, him breeding animals. He literally had so much evidence that could prosecute him in the end of abusing these animals and his place not being some sanctuary. As he never claimed it to be a sanctuary, but he loves animals, and it's his zoo, and that's what he wanted to portray it as. So what happens? He, although never leaves his little tiger zoo place, never leaves it, but somehow he decides to leave, and on the day he leaves to go to some outside wedding, his shed that had alligators in it It had all the footage of the Netflix show, like everything that they were doing, had all the footage in there mysteriously burned down. They don't know how it burned down. They don't know what happened. It just burned down. And so Joe obviously got a lot of sympathy from people. He had run for governor at one point, so he was deciding, okay, I'm gonna, he had a lot of people that really sympathized with him because they all were visitors of his little zoo. So he ends up rebuilding and starting all over again with everything, but it's still, even that cost a lot of money. Then he got wrapped up with some other business deals that basically he was stealing money and it just went bad. So what does Joe do? I'm getting the hell out of here. Now, as much as he loved his place, did not want to leave it, all of a sudden when he was caught with his hands in the cookie jar stealing from his other investors, now I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. And so he leaves off with some new boyfriend. One of his husbands tragically killed himself with his business partner watching it all go down. Then the other husband left him for another woman and got her pregnant. So long story short, he goes off to an undisclosed area. He tries to start anew. Who does he blame for all of his shortcomings? No one to blame but Carol, not himself, for what he did. I'm gonna blame Carol for everything wrong. It's all her fault. It's all Carol's fault. She did it. So he goes off and he's like, you know what I'm gonna do with his other business investors? He decides, I'm going to, for $3,000, pay somebody to kill her. So somehow, I guess, the other investors had dirt themselves. They were all in the wrong, honestly. Everybody was wrong in this whole situation. They were all wrong for what they were all doing. But if Joe goes down, then they all should go down, in my opinion. If he went down, you should go down too. But they all plot against Joe. They end up working with the feds. They find out that he allegedly paid $3,000 to a hitman to kill Carol. Carol finds out. They're all in on it. Long story short, Joe goes to prison. He's off for 23 years for animal cruelty and for some other mess. Just a mess of a show. Like I said, if you want to watch this show, definitely go to Netflix. It's called Tiger King's Murder and Mayhem. It's a mess. Like I said, I don't think Joe is in the wrong. I mean, Joe is definitely in the wrong for everything, okay? But everybody else should go down too. If he's going down, Carol, you should go down. They're all getting investigated now since this all came out and it's such a hit show. If you want to watch, please go to Netflix. I think it's still up for a little bit. I had to talk about it, y'all. If you want to comment down on the story, definitely comment down on the story yourselves. I'd love to know what you guys think about this whole thing. I hope you all have a wonderful Friday, and I will see you all next week. Bye.